friend's loft 3 years ago or something. Maybe 3 years ago, I think, 4 years ago. And we used to open our sets with it, and we kind of just forgot about it, didn't play it at all. But our friend Steve, who takes all our photos, he loves that song. He kept on asking us to play it, and we were all like really dismissive of it. No, the time's passed. We don't play that song anymore. And he kept on asking for it. So for a joke the other day at rehearsal, we played it live in the studio and left it as a voicemail on his phone. Changed the lyrics to from "We call the shots" to "We call the Steves." Ridiculously bad joke, but and he was like, "You got to play again." And he said, "We kind of, oh yeah, that song's pretty good." So we played it. We opened our set with it, despite only playing it once in rehearsal. The place called Finsbury a couple of weeks ago, and it's really good. So maybe that'll get a re-recording at some point. Yeah, much to Steve's delight, I'm sure. He's the only fan of the song, so hopefully
I'll like it. Yeah. You might grow to like it, right? So
yeah. It's very kind of. It's another kind of quite raw, punky sort of track. There was a demo floating about for a while, but it's I think that Sound Savers would have a new energy again, and maybe change it a little bit if we recorded it there. There's loads of other old stuff that are knocking about. We've got recordings of that people have never heard. Rehearsal recordings, not actual demos, but little ideas and stuff. There's no stuff we can go back to. Maybe see if there's something there. Sometimes you do something, you think it sounds good, and then you go away and you listen to it later and you think, oh no, it's a rubbish idea, and you scrap it. But, there's always something you can take, maybe like a little guitar line, maybe used as a break in something else, or an outro, or even if it's just like the vocal melody, or just the drums on the track, or whatever it may be.
Well, absolutely, it's always a bonus. I never would have thought of that, but that's a good point. I mean, that's you never know where pieces that seem to fit before can fit in somewhere better, right?
Yeah, I mean, we was trying something last week, a new track, and we just couldn't. Sometimes we try and things just don't really work, and then other times you just come up. Flesh was written, I don't know, it came around really quickly. We needed another song for the EP. We wasn't happy with the other two potential tracks, and we was like, let's try them. We was like, we've got 2 weeks, we ain't going to get a track in that time, and then Flesh has come around out and nothing. Maybe that's more, it's more direct, but I think maybe the 4 tracks needed a track. 4 tracks together needed that ending sort of track, a bit more of a CrossWires moment, I suppose, for want of a better word.
Well, fair enough. Now, I would think, just in general, though, having to arrange tracks and pick the right songs you want for the EP has got to be a bit of a challenge, because even if you have an idea of what you're going for, it doesn't mean, just like we just talked about, they're not always going to kind of fit in where you want them to.
Yeah, in terms of the order, I mean, I'm pretty sure Pete wanted Flesh to be the first track put out, and I think Ian wanted Progress. I wanted Walking Wounded, so Walking Wounded it was.
Yeah.
I don't mean that well, actually, no. I mean, I usually go with what my gut instinct is, and I kind of do all the promotions and everything like comes from me. So I think I know what works well, And the other guys have kind of agreed. I sort of said, I think Walking Wounded is a great kind of track, and he's done quite well. He's got nice feedback from people. Really liked it. So, yeah.
Well, right on, man. This has been fun. Like always, it's always good to talk to you about the new Ps and just see what you guys have done with the music, because each time it's different. Like I said, you still have your raw sound, but there is progression and there is change, and you can tell as far as even between like lyric writing, vocally, and even with the guitars and drums and everything else. It's nice to see how you kind of piece that together and fit in these different things, which is always cool and always something we know we can look forward to.
Yeah, a constant evolution is kind of what everyone's after. I mean, you don't want to. I hate the idea of like trying to be different just to make something different. Like, it's never a conscious thing. It's never a thing. Oh, let's make a song that sounds like this. Let's make a song that sounds like this. Let's try to change. Like, it just kind of naturally happens. Our drummer Ian just texted me lead singer syndrome. So I don't know.
you're absolutely right though, because music, just like most things, it's all about progression and change, and you don't necessarily always have to consciously think about it. You're right. A lot of times it just happens, and it's like, oh, cool. So let's go with this for a little bit.
It's much more natural if you do it that way.
Well, that's right.
It feels like, I see recently that you know the band Mumford and Sons.
Yes, yes, I do.
They, obviously, they're bloody massive. Yeah. That they were obviously doing that folk kind of thing, faux folk or whatever you would call it. Not really my cup of tea, but and then now they're like doing electric guitars, and I think like it seems very conscious to change. That they feel like they have to do it. I kind of understand why they're doing it, but it just seems a little forced,
No, fair enough.
Yeah, it seems like it's a forced change. Like maybe that's not their fault, because I think people are really critical. It's when you get to be a band of that size. But yeah, I think it's nice to let things maybe naturally happen. Naturally evolve. Maybe like Radiohead did with like Kid A to, OK Computer to Kid A or something like that. I think it seemed more of a natural evolution, like rather than or like the Clash. To London Calling, like that evolution seemed a bit more natural. Maybe there wasn't the same pressures from record companies in. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we never know what happens kind of behind closed doors, right? So that's kind of we can kind of think what we want, but it doesn't mean we're always right. So
we only have our own sort of understanding of it, don't we? Yeah.
That's right. But it happens, and we all we got to do is just kind of either like or dislike, and pretty much.
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of people who listen to things I've done and think, oh, I absolutely hate it. That's the joy of music, isn't it? It's like, if you get something out of it, then it doesn't matter if it's like, Westlife or, the Ramones. If you get something out of something and it brings you some sort of emotional, feeling, then it good or bad, I suppose that's the important thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. So, Jonathan, I want to thank you for coming back on the show again for pretty much playing the entire EP, Interaction Dislocation. It's a great EP. I'm glad you put it out. I'm glad that you put the arrangement the way you did. I'm not trying to favor, but Walking Winded was a better lead off than Flesh. Flesh is a good closer. So that's my 2 cents.
Hopefully I'll prove right. You can come see the next gigs at New Crossing, a bit far from you. That's in South East London. That's on the 21st of May. And there'll be some more gigs coming about, and throughout the year. Bit kind of sporadic. We try not to play too often, but keep it on Twitter. There'll be some shows coming up.
And we'll definitely be promoting them as well. So, Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on the show again. We'll definitely keep in touch, and we'll keep on.
Thanks for having me, man.
No problem. Keep on pushing Interaction Dislocation because it's a great one. So we still have a few more songs to get through over the next few weeks on NMS. So definitely they will be heard.
Excellent. Thank you, man. We appreciate it.
No problem. All right, Jonathan, have a great day, and thank you so much for doing this again.
No problems, man. And you.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye. All right, guys, that was Jonathan from CrossWires. We just went over their EP, Interaction Dislocation, and it's available on their Bandcamp for a free download. You can listen to it and download off of SoundCloud. And it's well worth it because obviously if you just heard it right here. So be sure to not waste any time and go grab that right away. So I will be back at 4 p.m. this afternoon. I'll be interviewing Coleus, which is going to be a good time. And obviously we played one of the songs last night. We played a bunch of their songs over the past NMSs. And this is definitely going to be an interesting interview to say the least. So tune in at 4 p.m. this afternoon and we'll be interviewing Coleus. Until then, phones out. Thank you so much for listening. Talk to you soon.